It was the spring of 1815. Europe, still reeling from the upheaval of the Napoleonic Wars, had only just begun to catch its breath when the world was again thrown into chaos. Napoleon Bonaparte had escaped exile on the island of Elba and returned to France, igniting the brief but fiery period now known as the 100 Days. As the old monarchies scrambled to respond, the reverberations of Napoleon's comeback echoed far beyond the borders of France, deep into the sun-drenched hills and ancient cities of southern Italy. There, Joachim Murat, King of Naples and Napoleon's flamboyant brother-in-law, saw an opportunity. Murat, a brilliant cavalry commander turned monarch, had ruled Naples since 1808. But now, with the European powers gathered at the Congress of Vienna and Napoleon once more in motion, Murat dreamed not only of preserving his throne, but of something greater, unifying the Italian states under his banner. In March 1815, driven by ambition and desperation, he declared war on Austria. Murat's campaign began with promise, but quickly unraveled. The Austrian Empire, ever methodical, responded by sending two armies to converge on the Neapolitan forces. One, led by General Frederick Bianchi, advanced from the west. The other, under General Adam Albert von Neipperg, pressed down from the north. By the end of April, Murat had been forced into retreat, withdrawing to the Adriatic city of Ancona. But all was not yet lost. The two Austrian corps had been split by the formidable Apennine Mountains. If Murat could strike before they reunited, there was still a chance. He decided to confront Bianchi near the town of Tolentino. To buy himself time, Murat dispatched a small force under General Michel Carrascosa to delay Neipperg. Meanwhile, he concentrated his main army, over 25,000 men with nearly 5,000 horses, around the northern town of Macerata. His opponent, Bianchi, commanded fewer than 12,000 men. But the Austrians were disciplined, entrenched, and cautious. On April 29th, a detachment of Hungarian hussars, riding ahead of Bianchi's main force, swept into Tolentino. They routed a small Neapolitan garrison, establishing the Austrian vanguard in the town. Bianchi, recognizing Murat's intentions, set up a strong defensive line anchored by the Tower of San Catervo, the medieval Rancia Castle, the Church of Maestà, and the grounds of St. Joseph. Murat, with little time to lose, had to force a breakthrough. At dawn on May 2nd, the first shots rang out. Artillery on both sides opened fire across the valley leading to Sforzacosta. Murat's forces achieved some surprise. In a bold early maneuver, Neapolitan troops surrounded and even briefly captured General Bianchi near Sforzacosta. But a daring charge by Hungarian cavalry quickly freed him. By mid-morning, Murat had brought the bulk of his forces to bear near Pollenza. The fighting grew fierce, especially around Rancia Castle, which was taken, lost, and retaken in brutal, close-quarters combat. By the end of the first day, the Neapolitans had made some gains, taking Montemolone and pressing the Austrians hard, but Bianchi's men held firm in key defensive positions. The following day, May 3rd, began under a shroud of mist. It was not until 7 a.m. that the fog lifted enough for battle to resume. The day started well for Murat. His forces secured Rancia Castle and captured the heights of Cantagallo. From these elevated positions, he launched a renewed assault on the Austrian left flank. Two infantry divisions, including his elite guard division, descended from Montemolone in a powerful push. But then came a costly mistake. Fearing an imminent cavalry charge, the Neapolitan soldiers formed square formations, tight, box-like arrangements designed to repel mounted attacks. Yet no cavalry came. Instead, Austrian infantry poured musket volleys into the stationary formations, and their artillery tore gaping holes in the packed ranks. At the same time, General Moore successfully repelled an assault on the Austrian right. The entire Neapolitan line faltered and fell back toward Pollenza. And then news arrived that broke Murat's resolve. Word came that Neipperg had defeated Carrascosa at the Battle of Scapisano and was now fast approaching from the north. Worse still, rumors spread that a British fleet had landed a Sicilian army in southern Italy, threatening Murat's line of retreat. In reality, the British fleet was sailing not to land troops, but to blockade Naples and Ancona. But Murat, unaware of this, panicked. With his rear seemingly in danger and his enemies converging from all sides, Murat ordered a retreat. The fighting ceased. The field was silent once more, but the silence carried the weight of defeat. The Battle of Tolentino was over. The cost was immense. Over 4,000 Neapolitan soldiers were killed, wounded, or captured. The Austrians, in contrast, suffered only 800 casualties. In the days that followed, Murat's shattered army continued to disintegrate. Hungarian cavalry routed remnants at Castel di Sangro, and the final blow came at the Battle of San Germano. The Neapolitan fleet, fearing bombardment, surrendered to the Royal Navy without firing a shot. Murat fled. Disguised as a Danish sailor, he escaped by sea to Corsica, but his downfall was sealed. On May 20th, 1815, the Treaty of Casalanza was signed. Austria and the Kingdom of Naples formally ended hostilities. The Bourbon monarch, Ferdinand IV, was restored to the throne. The Battle of Tolentino proved decisive. It was not merely the last major engagement of the Neapolitan War, but the final chapter in Murat's turbulent reign. His dream of an independent and unified Italy, bold, romantic, and premature, died on those blood-soaked hills. Though Murat would attempt a final comeback months later, landing once more in Italy to spark a rebellion, he would be captured and executed. The last cavalry king of Europe rode into legend, and the hopes he carried were buried beneath the weight of the old world's return.